Everybody, we're going to get started. You're all very welcome to our presentation today. We're going to speak about how AR is transforming construction and how we've managed to deliver 9 times our ROI on a mission critical project and 8 times ROI on a pharma project. Joining me today is XYZ Reality Walid Safar. So what you will learn today, we hope today you will discover the benefits of utilising Autodesk with AR to support the digitisation of projects, and to learn all about overcoming the challenges of eliminating costly rework on complex mission critical projects. We will discuss how we've coupled defined experienced workflows and procedures with new technology to achieve our goals. So, who are we? I'm Carl Butler. I'm the Group Head of Digitally Enabled Lean Project Delivery. It's quite a mouthful, so DELPD for short. I'm responsible for delivering PM Group's strategic plan for 2025. I've implemented major projects such as BIM 360, the introduction of BIM 360, Autodesk Assemble, and a first of its kind AR service, as well as automated auditing of models. And I have over 20 years experience in the AEC industry. I see some very familiar faces in the crowd here that I've been dealing with for the last 15, 20 years or so. So I'm excited to see you here. A bit about PM Group. We are an employee-owned company. We've more than 3,500 people in our team. We're an international company with, I think, 17 offices now across Europe, USA, and Asia. We're coming up on celebrating 50 years of experience. I'd like to introduce you then to Walid.
Hi everybody, Walid Safar, Director of Mission Critical here at XYZ. I've been with the business for almost over 5 years now. I was actually the first employee at XYZ. I met David Mitchell, who's founder and CEO, about 5 and a bit years ago. I was actually a student at London Business School at the time, completed my master's there. When I bumped into this tall, crazy Irishman who told me about this vision he had of builders building from holograms and getting rid of 2D drawings. And I thought, yeah, it makes sense. So I ended up joining him as the first employee of the business. So since then, I look after all of our major projects globally, including the data centers and the pharmaceutical side of things. And a bit more about the business is that, well, we're on a mission on being able to eliminate rework from construction. Our team's growing. We're 66, I think it's now actually 74 as of today, and we've deployed all across Europe, launched in the US this year, soon to be in Japan as well, back into this year, so a really exciting time for us as a business.
So I'm going to talk about the problem. So I really want us to get into this, and I want to discuss the problems we faced, and some of these are a tale as old as time. On the PM Group journey, you know, we had inconsistent translation of 3D design to actual construction. I think everybody's feeling that pain. We had no absolute root cause data that could be trusted as unpolluted or uncorrupted. We had construction blaming design quality, and you know, the age-old design then blaming the lack of construction input at the right time. We had an impact on schedule due to rework in the field or redesign to accommodate field errors that are occurring in the field. We had an impact on cost due to rework or redesign to accommodate, again, the field errors. And overall then we were experiencing a loss of confidence in the project and delivery team as a result of all of these issues. We quickly realised we're not alone, right? This is common denominator across every construction team, every construction project, regardless of the company you're working for. Everybody had the same pains. We noticed what the industry wasn't talking about. So 30% of construction activity is actually rework. 35% of construction professionals' time is spent, which is over 14 hours per week, on non-productive activities, including looking for project information, conflict resolution, and dealing with mistakes and rework. They're staggering figures. 77% of mega projects are delayed by over 40%. Like, it's unfathomable, except we're living it, we're experiencing, so you would believe it. 52% of rework is by poor project data and miscommunication. I see a lot of nodding here. I think this is resonating, right? The global data center construction market size is projected to surpass, wait for it, 369.6 billion by 2030. And as our dependency on data centers grow, leaders in this field require facilities that are efficient, secure, and meet the evolutionary demands associated with these critical assets. Those in charge need trusted partners who can deliver resilient infrastructure that can stand the test of time. Rework could cost the data center industry alone, just as data center alone, $23.9 billion if change is not adopted. That's crazy, right? So the new facilities are to be built by 2030. Dread to think what the delay to schedule would be at that figure. So, I mean, it's absolutely, this is a conservative estimate. I just want to put that out there. I'm not trying to be any way emotive in these figures. So the hunt for a solution was on, right? So we were like, what can we do? How can we combat this? Again, just trying to identify, this is not a PM group only issue. This is a worldwide issue. So we tried the tried and tested laser surveying. We previously implemented laser surveying to verify design versus install to satisfy our EOR requirements. The problem we faced with that on hyperscale projects is that it was increasingly labor intensive. And again, I'm seeing some nodding here with people who know that their resources are being absorbed in dealing with point clouds, comparisons, and you might be using the likes of Verity to run some automated, but let's face it, that's not really good when you get into the intricate stuff. So you're still going to have someone, human eyes, working on it. And that is labor we can't afford to spare right now in the market. The point cloud management itself, the size of the files were huge, the survey noise and area access. So again, if you're in an accelerated program trying to deliver $1 billion data center, you know your room is not going to be empty for your laser surveying. So you're going to have noise, you're going to have obstructions. So are you investing then again to remove the noise? That's more labor, right? And that's a skill set that you can't spare right now when you're trying to deliver your project. Overall, we found it was an extremely reactive process. Whatever way you go about it with laser surveying, there is a delay by the time it gets to your machine to do your comparisons, right? That's too long. What we need from technology. Managing huge data sets and models requires new technologies that allow us to be more proactive, to reduce rework during construction, and improve the communications overall with the project team and of course our clients. We want to bring them on this journey with us. We want them to be able to make the decisions that they need to proactively, preemptively, avert the crisis from ever materializing in the first place. We have the expertise and we have the processes. Now we just needed the technology. Easy to use, empowering teams to champion digital technologies over traditional methods. Technology to efficiently implement our processes and deliver value in schedule, quality, safety, and turnover. Technology that enhances our quality processes and drives up our company culture and ethos. So QAR, it was definitely identified as the solution. Why? Well, ease of use, millimeter accuracy of real-time validation of works, quick, precise results, unpolluted data. We, as a result of going with the AR, seamless integration with our construction management platform, which is BIM 360, an API that has been developed, so when you're out in the field with your helmet, you are in real time looking at your issue, you're raising the issue there and then, and by the time that surveyor gets back to his desk, it's already been dealt with by the quality team and your BIM team. No manual admin. We also needed one that would complement our quality and safety and process ethos. A proactive process. So we looked at the market for AR solutions. This might be controversial to some. Sorry if I offend people when I go through this. But we did a lot of research. And again, I just want to point out, we are an employee-owned company, right? So every employee is a stakeholder in PM Group. So when we make a decision to follow a new technology or to invest in new technology, we take that very seriously. And our due diligence is exceptional, probably unprecedented. So we looked at everything, and we would have had to compromise, and we are not a compromising company in that regard. When it comes to quality, we do not compromise. So we knew if we were going to take this leap, we needed to tick all the boxes, and the only one we could get to tick all the boxes was with XYZ and the Atom. So let me introduce Walid, the Atom.
So, the Atom. We've built the world's most accurate augmented reality headset, and also the world's first engineering-grade augmented reality headset. It is a full custom solution. We built everything ourselves in-house. That means the hardware, the software, and the cloud platform as well. It is a fully safety certified headset, so it does replace your traditional hard hat and visor. So here in the US, it complies with the ANSI standards, Z87.1 and Z89.1. In Europe, it complies with EN 397 and EN 166. So it's a fully safety compliant headset in the field itself.
So why the Atom? Okay, so good question, why the Atom? So the Atom allowed us proactive, verified, assisted set-out approach with our trade partners. What that means is we didn't want to just focus on governing, right? That's, I suppose, again, a reactive process in governing. We wanted to be proactive. So by taking the technology, taking the helmet out to site, dealing with our black hats, dealing with our supervisors in those areas, we scheduled using BIM 360 plan to allow us to be there at the point of first install for each piece of equipment. Anything that was particularly of high value or just setting out first time round. So what that meant is we were fully seamlessly integrated with our construction teams. So each trade partner, they had the opportunity to take advantage of this technology we were bringing to the project, right? So what that meant was, if they were going to set out or drop a panel in place, we made sure it was dropped exactly where it needed to be so that we knew every connection would fit seamlessly thereafter. If we want to go a step further back, we were at the point of a factory witness test where we brought the helmet to the factory to make sure that the panel and the connections aligned with what was suggested in the model. So before it even left the factory, we knew what was coming was going to be right. We had quicker than traditional laser scanning methods, and we had a high level of accuracy, removing the need for any laser surveying whatsoever on our project. That paid for this technology fully, right? I just want to put that out there. So let me show you this video of our team at the site.
What we all want to know at every course of the project is if things are right. The killer is rework. To redo a job is probably going to cost you 6 to 8 times more than would it cost you to get it right first time.
Time is money in this industry. Paper shouldn't be involved in construction going forward.
The cost-saving potential of getting it right first time are huge. It will be very evident from an early stage if there is something wrong. There is no time lag between what you actually see and getting results.
When I look at Holosight and think, what can it do for us? It'll help us identifying early clashes. Being able to show the accuracy of what we've done and what we're going to do is something no one else can do. To visually be able to show that is a very, very powerful tool.
It is a game changer. It helps us with constructability and helps us build safe and fast.
I can already see the huge benefits using Holosight. We've spotted some early setting out errors.
We've already captured a couple of items on site ahead of time. It's just fantastic. I think it's going to be a massive win for the project and for the industry as a whole. I think it's the future, and we're delighted to have XYZ on board.
To be able to visualize something is well and good, but to be able to see it, that is something that is a whole new level of experience.
I always get goosebumps when I watch that video, and particularly when I see Jerry. He looks like a Viking out outside Denmark. But they're the ones, and I think, you know, any of us could stand up here and say how great this technology, but when you hear it from the boots on the ground, it really validates it, right? And these are not guys who are well up on tech, you know. These are some of my silver foxes that are out there, you know, and they're mentoring and they're teaching. And they are the ones pushing and driving this culture change from a site level, you know, eager to adopt, which I think is half the battle. So what happened in deployment? We had to plug our new tech into our existing processes. And that in PM Group has created a service called ARQ, which is Augmented Reality. So Augmented Reality for Quality, part of our workflows. So our model freeze process in Autodesk, AEC, and inspection planning and BIM plan, feeding into the pre, during, and post-installation inspections. The results of these inspections are fed back into BIM 360, outlining what work is installed within tolerance, quality recognition. We were using Field Next Gen in this particular instance. What work is installed out of tolerances, issues via BIM 360. Expertise, processes, technology, progress monitoring, results and solution that is scalable within our projects. Okay? So what I want to focus on here is that by piloting this on our first project in Denmark, it catapulted into a standardization of how this process and how this service would work. So within, I think, 6-7 months, we were able to deploy on 2 pharma projects simultaneously in Ireland, as a result of what we had learned in Denmark. What we learned in Denmark has also been pushed back up into that client's universe, I suppose, and adoption there is literally next, right? So that's going to be quite huge for them. And similarly with our pharma projects in Ireland, they want to adopt and put this into their standard way of working, seeing the benefits, realizing the benefits. So the integration with BIM 360. So I just want to get in again the context of millimeter accuracy. Literally, I think, Walid, is like a hair, is it?
That's right, so exactly 3 to 5 millimeter precision.
Yeah, and they're being cautious, and you know, that's them saying 3 to 5 mil. In actuality, I suppose it's easier for me to say it's literally a hair, right, that we're able to go through. He can't say that, but I can. From a workflow management point of view, it was seamless. You know, I didn't have any stops and goes. Everything was fully integrated. And what that gave me was unpolluted, uncorrupted data. So I could bring all of that data up into my dashboards. So what I was doing there was putting everything up and extracting through BIM 360, pulling that into Power BI, creating league tables. And I'm going to show you more about that in a minute. So it also fed into our federated models and our issue management, increased productivity and dynamic working. Yes. Yeah, and Wiley's going to go and answer a bit more about that for you guys at the end. So we absolutely just want to say that you can ask as many questions as you want at the end of the presentation. There's also a product roadmap that Walid is going to get into. I think that will blow your minds. A data-driven approach then, right? Making informed project decisions. So I talked about the dashboarding and how that helped us. So what I was able to look at, and if you look at this dashboard, this is a very simple dashboard, right? And we kept it simple for a reason. So we were able to determine what was a validation versus a discrepancy. So a validation being positive reinforcement that they got it right. Again, not just being, you know, something to beat people with. You know, we wanted to encourage participation here. So when you turn it into something a little bit competitive, you would be surprised how many people go out of their way to try and get a good score. So the validations are critical. And then the discrepancies showing what could be done better. Okay, and those discrepancies usually meant things were out of tolerance. In some instances, you know, on a couple of these things, up a couple of meters out of discrepancy, especially on our external civils works, you know, on critical foundations. I mean, we had a foundation pour, what was that, 1.5 meters out of tolerance?
That's right, 5 meters out of tolerance there,
Yeah, I mean, and it was caught early enough that it was just cased. So, and we had validated that it was still 1.5 meters out before the pour happened. Imagine if we were waiting on laser surveying to come in after that pour, what we would have had to deal with. You know, that was the one that sticks out to me at the very beginning of the project. I think that stood out. So again, this shows me then, you know, the discrepancies in resolution per company, their progress, you know, are they making an attempt to right the wrongs? And again, pulling everything out of BIM 360, I was able to see how many total inspections were complete, how many were overdue, pulling that from BIM 360 plan versus where, you know, the interaction are, we've scheduled, we've teed it up for you, have you participated? If you haven't participated, have you communicated that it's not ready in that area with the rest of your team? We use TACT within PM Group, so we were able to break all of these down per TACT zone. So that meant that we had focused areas that needed to be complete. And we were able to show that again visually, which was really, really key to our supervisors who have this up on a giant screen in what used to be the digital war room, and now it's a digital information room. But that gave them their clear objectives every morning of what needed to be closed out. And the package managers had an orientation that day of what they needed to tackle. All of this information, all of this data gave us greater visibility and transparency across the teams, on-site and in the office. So off-site, just as informed as on-site. Any errors that required rework were being dealt with instantly. It streamlined our workflows. We're able to create and visualize and manage issues and tasks, instantly assign them to project stakeholders in BIM 360. And again, I want to reiterate, that happened at the point of view out on site. If the ductwork was out, our AR technician was pinpointing and tagging that directly to the quality team and also that trade package owner responsible for that space. So that was instantly. Superior information flow. We completely removed the need for laser surveying, which usually takes 2 weeks to get results. We were proactive. We were making decisions ahead of any conflict, ahead of any real critical issues happening out on site. So as the design becomes the as-built, we're driving culture change for better design outputs, all the way back up into the conception of design. What I mean by that is, historically construction get a bit of a beating, right, if you're not installing as per the model. But what we're trying to say is that, well, you know, right now, what's coming in the model isn't always buildable. It's not constructible. So we're forcing that right first time ethos back up into our design teams, saying you need to design it right first time, because we want to build it right first time. So we're forcing the culture change all the way back. If you design it right first time, you're guaranteed to build it right first time using AR. As designed equals constructed. As designed equals as built. That cues a huge return on investment. On this particular mission critical project, and this is owner verified data, I just want to put that out there. It's not something we're pulling out of our hats. We managed to achieve 9 times the ROI. On a 400 million mission critical project, we were able to save $5.1 million. And that was only at 53% completion when we conducted this study. I just want to put that out there. We had 489 early issues identified and rectified. 0 laser surveying. As a result of all of this efficiency and gains, we were able to offer a 3 to 6 month reduction period on as-built overheads. So, you know, typically keeping your subcontractors, your trade partners on site to do their red lines, you know, to close it out. God knows we all know the pains of that experience. We were able to mitigate that almost, you know, entirely because it was built right first time, therefore as built at constructed stage. We had 20 days saved on the project from a speed up point of view because of the emphasis on right first time. And again, I want to reiterate, 53% complete. Those are staggering figures. I want to then discuss how we did this on a pharma project. On a $150 million pharma project, we managed to give an 8 times ROI at 60% complete. So if you look at the other one, it was 400 million. This is 150 million. So you can say there's a huge difference in the cost of the project, but the value is still there. A total saving of 2.3 million already achieved on that project. 700 inspections corrected, rectified at that point. Overall, 273 issues and discrepancies since deployment. We've also managed a 1 to 2 month as-built reduction, and again, that's at 60%. So what's next? Walid?
So our North Star is builders building from holograms, right? And so that's always what we'll aim to achieve, as kind of our founder and CEO Dave says, you know, until his mum's doing his extension in the west of Ireland with the headset on, you know, we're not going to stop. And we want to eventually get it down to the cost of an iPhone, right? You know, we want that sort of level of scale and visibility, but we know that's a journey to be able to get there. So the immediate next step for us is kind of the implementation of assisted reality, right? And so what we mean specifically by assisted reality is that you imagine now the user's got the headset on, he's going out on site, and it's automatically, passively capturing the progress taking place in the field. That's then feeding back into the model and into the schedule then as a result. So all of a sudden now, you're getting transparency as to the level of progress taking place in the field without the user themselves needing to do any actions, without them simply just having to click and select items that have been completed. It's that automated progress capture, and it's happening all passively on the project site. So that's our next big milestone that we're looking forward to achieve with PM Group on board as well. And so that's kind of the next immediate step for us in our roadmap.
So I think the message is really clear. You know, you can continue down the traditional route, or you can disrupt yourself and your company and turn it on its head. You know, you might hear, oh, there's a cost to this. The cost of not far outweighs the cost to adopt. I just want to make that very clear. We want you to be a part of the culture change. We're here to help anybody else on their journey. If you have any questions, we'd love to answer them. So if you have a question, maybe raise your hand and we'll whiz around the back of the room there.
Yeah, what's the battery life on the hard pad? Does it last all day?
So it's the hot swappable batteries, so they're built into the headset itself, exactly as you would do with the drill, and swapping them out. We provide enough so that you can go the full day out on site or even more than that, but each one of those hot swappable batteries will last for about 2 hours in the field.
And just to add to that, what we're doing presently, we take shifts with the helmet. So depending on your work day, obviously people have a shorter work day than what you might be allowed be on site for. So we do like handovers. So somebody might be out in the field on site for 5 hours, you know, between different inspections, and we can hand that over sometimes twice, or if there's an accelerated area, it could be 3 times. So you have that consistent surveying effort happening throughout your entire day. Front here.
Yes. So if I'm a project manager, perhaps I'm wearing the XYZ headset, is there an output that my coworkers could see, like what I'm seeing?
You mean live streaming?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was when we first engaged with PM Group. It was, I think, what, November 2020. So pandemic, lockdowns, nobody could travel. Denmark, you know, we're all kind of London, Irish based. So, and even for the senior leadership team for the client side. So what ended up happening very quickly was that there was this big dependency on the headset being able to do the live stream. So we enabled that such that we'd have, for example, one of the field engineers who'd be out on site with the headset on. He'd be live streaming it back to the team in the office. And not only just the team in the office, like team around the world, right? You know, we had the client, main contractor, and subcontractor all on a single call, 42 people I remember on that call. And the client's there just doing the walk down remotely, signing off on millions of pounds worth of work thanks to the headset itself.
Can I have a follow-up question? Is that web browser then enabled, or some sort of web channel?
So it's an application through which then you share screen and then go through the process there.
Okay.
And just to add to that, what that allowed us was that, again, in our digital information room, I have to stop saying war room, we were able to project that live to that. So again, people who couldn't make it out on site, on any of our information rooms in any of our offices around the world, we were able to offer that visualization. So that was really powerful during the pandemic.
And then one of the other things I'd like to mention as well is that for that to operate, there needs to be kind of connectivity in the field, right? Wi-Fi or 5G or something along those bases. But the headset itself, actually, in order to be able to operate in the field, it can do it completely offline. You know, we know most of the project sites, like the pharma project sites, Jesus, if you get a signal, it's a miracle, right? You know, you're 5 floors down in the basement, you're not going to get signal there. So we had to build a headset that was able to completely operate offline, load up those hyperscale models without the dependency on Wi-Fi, which the Atom's able to do.
You can also work from hotspots. Down there, yeah?
To follow up what you just said then, how do you achieve accuracy?
Sure. So how we achieve the accuracy is twofold. So we have a laser-based positioning system, right? So essentially what we do is that the users are provided with these tracking beacons. Essentially they're like laser beacons, they're doing an IR sweep within the area. The headset itself has sensors, and so the headset's then picking up the IR sweeps in the area, and it's then able to orientate themselves. So that's what, and we're able to do that with millimeter precision. So that's what gives us the accuracy of where a user's looking. Now, how we know where you are in the real world is that we tap into the site coordinate system. So your retro targets, your grid lines, your datums. Essentially, we tap into the Cartesian network, right? Hence our name, XYZ reality. Right?
Okay, back there.
Can this interact with like a LiDAR system or some sort of scanning system?
We've been able to eliminate the need for a scanning system or a LiDAR system. And then eventually we'll get to the stage where there's that passive automated progress capture, such that even if you wanted to be able to, for example, capture progress in the field for whatever reason, it's doing it through the headset passively. You don't have to actually add that on or bolt that on as a result.
To follow up, does it provide panoramic pictures and that kind of data the same as a LiDAR, like a VLX system will?
So it doesn't provide panoramic data, no. What it provides is that you're able to, for example, capture progress in the field by taking images, and that then feeds back into the model, feeds back into the schedule and everything else. So that's kind of how our users interact with it in the field.
Actually, something I didn't labour on during the presentation is that the surveyor, who is a qualified surveyor wearing the helmet, while they're also out there and using the AR, we're also capturing our real-time progress, and that's what we're doing through Assemble. So we're logging by using progress codes. That same person is actually doing 3 roles as they're doing that 1 walk, which is a massive saving back to the project. So our project controls team can see progress code. So again, it could be you've got 4 rows of ductwork, and one is at first fix, 60%, the other is at second fix, 30%. As you go through that, it's going back up for real-time validation, that has flushed out a lot of dishonesty that's been coming from our trade partners, where they're making claims for a certain amount of work conducted that actually was not conducted. And when you're light on boots on the ground due to a pandemic, this was a real game changer for us and for our client, a real awakening to the management that's needed at trade partner level. Okay.
The data that you're reading is BIM 360, is it Revit files? So does that mean your Revit files have to be modeled to within millimeters of installation?
So whatever's in the model, you'll see out on site, whether it be in Revit or Navisworks, for example. So if you've modeled it to, an LOD 500, for example, you'll see every bit of that detail. But at the same time, if you modeled it to LOD 350, you'll see all of that detail at the same point in time as well.
And to further that one, we can see right down to the nuts and bolts if we want to. And I just have to say as well, one thing that was a major tick for us, we can't break their systems with the size of our files. We've tried, we just can't. So it can handle any size file that we can go through. And also with IFC, we can translate a lot of our files that weren't authored originally in Revit. Revit is best, I'm not going to lie. But you can bring it across as an IFC and bring that across into the helmet. So it opens up possibilities as to what you can use. Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about the process? So starting like if you just get a Revit model, where does your team take over? How much does the client actually have to do?
Okay. So when ends up happening, so let's say for example we've got the model, and let's say for example we've got the coordinates in the field, right? So coordinates, they're uploaded to our cloud platform as a CSV file. So they'll have all the list of retro targets, grid line statums, etc., all uploaded onto that. And then as for the model, within Revit itself, we actually have a plugin, an XYZ plugin, and essentially it's one click, exports to the cloud platform there. So when it's in the cloud platform, essentially what happens there to the models is that it gets converted into our .xyz format. Essentially it's an optimization format without reducing any of the fidelity of the model itself. Then the user in the office, for example, where there's Wi-Fi, they'll simply turn on the headset. That information will then download into the headset, and then you're good to go out on site. So a user will then go out on site, quickly set up their tracking beacons, tap into the coordinate point, load up said model, conduct their inspection then accordingly. If they find any issues in the field, or if they want to, for example, do some quality recognition, they see good work, they're highlighting those, they're basically highlighting all of those, the good and the bad. That then saves locally into the headset. Back up, go back to the site office, turn on the headset, you've hit Wi-Fi, that then syncs across to our cloud platform and then back across onto BIM 360 and assembling and everything else.
Again, that's the AR technician who's doing all that, right? So you don't have to worry about it. What I want to point out though is from a quality point of view on the workflow side of things, I was like Gandalf, right? I did not let a model pass unless it had been frozen and approved and got its status A, right? I was like, you are not getting out into the field, because God forbid something wrong got out there, and then I built it to the model, but it was the wrong frickin' model, right? So very strict procedures, you have to have your approval lines in place in BIM 360, very, very easy do, and those are your core foundational steps. If you've got your quality and your workflows in order, whatever you put on an AR enhances that. But again, I want to reiterate, driving that culture change. Construction can't keep being beaten with you've built it wrong. We need to go back to our EORs, our designers and our trade partners that are, got some CDP elements and say you need to do better to enable us to be leaner and more efficient. Over there.
Is there ability to add and reduce featuring? So if you have a structural model loaded and then you want to add architectural feature to do comparison against the two,
yes.
Or subtract that, is that a capable option?
That's right. You can layer and delayer multiple models at the same time. So the like Carl's mentioned, right, they've done their best to try and break it. Yet to happen. So the headset itself has like 16 gigs of RAM, a terabyte of storage. So we can load up any number of different models. So, oftentimes the guys on the site, they're checking the mechanical works against the electrical works against the plumbing works, right, all simultaneously. They want to make sure that, the next trades that are actually coming into the area can actually conduct their activity without there being a clash, right? So we're able to mitigate those risks through those inspections specifically as a result of being able to layer and delayer multiple models.
And if anyone here is in quality, you'll understand sometimes if you get a tsunami of issues up through BIM 360 field, you're like, does this really warrant my effort here? Is this really a quality issue? By being out in the field and looking and saying, okay, this is out by 10 mil, and let me tell you, that's how much we are saying. Are you out by 10 mil or 5 mil? That's how detailed we're getting on this. And that's all determined in our BEP. So our trade partners know we're coming and we're going to check, right? So they can feel our breath on their necks before they even go out there, and they know we're going to check it, right? If it's out by that, and we'll say, okay, we'll put the layers on and we can see the next services that are coming in here. If that really doesn't have an issue, and 5 mil we all know is within the construction tolerances anyway, we'll say, that's not an issue, guys. Let's not flood the quality team with this. You know, we'll just put it down, it's noted. But it's not going to eat Barry Madden's time out on site, you know, and he's going to be happier for it. And again, that's, I suppose, through education in quality, your experience out on site, you know where to lean it out and where the efficiency gains are. Next question. This lady here, yeah?
Sure. So when you were showing me out on site, you were only looking like foundation stuff. You talked about turning on and off models. Are you turning on and off models, or are you turning on and off IFCs?
It can be whatever you want it to be, whether it's an IFC or a Revit model or a Navisworks model. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. So essentially what we do is that we convert the IFC model format into our .xyz format. So regardless of what you're seeing, you're still seeing the model. It's just maybe it's native authoring format's different, but ultimately when it's out in the field, it's all the same format.
So however you're managing your models is how you're going to manage what you see in the field.
That's right. So what we actually provide is a controller as well. The controller allows you to kind of select multiple models, layer and delayer accordingly. So you'll see the list of models that you've exported. Obviously, we know where the user is in the real world, right, with millimeter precision. So we can load up the models specifically for those areas. So they'll be the first models you see. So it's that intelligence built in as well.
And because we're using taxon, we were able to break that down even more finitely, right? So again, we didn't want everyone to be distracted by looking in rooms that they weren't targeting at. You know, again, from a lean approach, what's coming up in your range, what needs to be done through tact, and then again, it just allows us to move on. If there's an obstruction in that area, we'll release another tax zone so that work can continue, so we don't really experience any downtime. Yep.
So your slides about return on investment, do those include traditional like Navis flash detection approach, and then go into construction without the AI or AR on the side?
Oh yeah, that's just our standard, again, workflow. So for my model auditing, which I mentioned at the start, so what I do is if an EOR gives us a model that we're going to inherit, or in fact if PM Group are designing a model that's going to go out into the field, we do consistent model auditing. And that's something we've developed in-house in PM Group. You know, it's almost fully automated at this point. So we know the condition of that model as it's going through. We give a scorecard saying this is where you have failed or where there's been issues, but we also give them the solutions on how to resolve that to get a better score. Then we have consistent clash detection. Again, we're understanding through experience what warrants a clash in these areas. And that's all the conditioning before it gets to that freeze that I was talking about, and that's when I let it pass.
So like the issue with the footing that you said that you guys were able to catch, how would you catch that in VR versus Navis, unless it was a field discrepancy?
It was a field discrepancy because in the model it was 100% correct, but what they had set out on site using their own surveyor was 1.5 meters or 1.2 meters out. Right, so their casing was done, and it was just a fact that we had caught it. Yep.
In BIM 360, is it in issues, or is it like RFI, or how is it translated?
BIM 360 issues. Okay, and that gives you a pin to the point.
What's your class protection tool that you use?
Navisworks. Okay. Yep.
They've already answered it, but for Navisworks, you have the direct export.
We can absolutely export
yes.
directly.
Second question, you mentioned water correctly, but what about like class 3 to 2?
Sorry, I couldn't hear
Can't
that.
hear you.
Class 3 to 2, intrinsically safe?
Yeah, no, not explosion proof. So oil and gas projects, that's why we haven't targeted them. It's a huge undertaking. Not in the current roadmap. Not in the immediate roadmap.
It should be. Maybe when the guys from XYZ can put that down on the roadmap.
So you spoke a lot to the benefits of the additive use in the field, but of course with any first generation technology there comes challenges, and as you spoke about the roadmap to when it costs a little and does everything. So what are some of the challenges that either of you, I guess, can describe
so when we first launched with PM Group in November 2020, you would have seen in the video, right, there's a fellow with the cable, right, and then he had a tool belt on, and the computer was on this one belt, the battery was on the other belt, right, so the fellow was going around with basically a ball of wires, right. So that was like one of the first immediate issues that we had to solve for the product itself, like how do we bring all of that into the headset? So we managed to achieve that through the Atom, which is our next-gen product. So that was kind of one of the big elements in PM Group's project, and Denmark was the first one to implement that too. Now, I think probably some of the other challenges that we faced was that when we first launched, I think very quickly everybody was like, I'm not sure about this, I wonder how this goes. And then we had that issue where we detected the overpull by about 500 mil, and then everybody went, aha, I get it, right? Yeah. But then next thing you know, the conversation and the culture that becomes is that everybody's thinking that they're being policed, right? And so that's not good for culture either, right? And that was the next challenge that we had to overcome, was that how do we get the trade partners to buy into this process such that they're actually coming to the XYZ guys, to the headset itself and going, hey, can we use this to make sure we build it right the first time? Because ultimately, you know, none of these guys go out on site with the intention of building something wrong, right? But they've never had a tool that enables them to be able to build it right the first time. So kind of getting rid of that police culture very quickly, shifting towards that build it right first time mentality was really important, and that was one of the other biggest hurdles that we faced.
And it is, and it's I suppose reiterating the one team approach, right? Because we all have one common delivery, and that is for our project to be delivered on time, you know, safely and on budget. And we want to make our client happy, right? We all want repeat work. So we're all on the same page, and I think it's just, you know, a stance shift that you are not there to govern, you're there to assist and to help. And that's why we have, especially, you know, PM Group is probably the first company, in my experience in construction, where it is completely open. You know, our client sees exactly what we see, so we're all on the same page. And if there is something wrong, we're addressing it together through our different tiered agility approach. So it's incredibly powerful that way. Another thing from the generational shift, Gen 1, I was experiencing about a 30% admin downtime. So that meant the surveyors and the helmets, I wasn't realizing their full potential because those same guys were coming back and then logging the issues from the headsets directly up into BIM 360. As part of Gen 2, the BIM 360 integration changed all that. And I have seen a third of an increase in my inspections across every helmet on every project. And all of that is real data that you know, I can validate up through my dashboards. Okay. Anybody else a question? That lady there?
I was just going to ask, are the headsets for sale, or is the idea to partner with PM Group?
Well, no, you can go directly to XYZ. PM Group, we are in every country, so I'm not going to say no. So, and we do have a partnership established. Yes. But they're not for sale, but they are subscription based?
That's right, subscription based. So what we do is that we don't simply just ship you a product and go off you go, right? I think we're all familiar with tech where you kind of get it on site, it's amazing the first 2-3 weeks, and then it's in the cupboard, right? So what we've done is that we actually provide a managed service. And so we actually provide these field application engineers, right? So their role is three points, right? So first one is actually to utilize the technology from day one itself on your behalf. Now why that's important is so then you guys are getting value from day one itself and everybody on the project's being brought in. Second thing is that they're actually setting up the integrations, the workflows enabled in order to be able to ensure that you're getting maximum value thereafter as well. And the last thing is then to be able to train your project team on site in order to be able to actually utilize technology and then implement best practices. And so this field application engineer that we provide, they're there full time. They are an extension of your team, and in PM Group's instances, they even take some of our field engineers as well.
No hard feelings. No hard feelings. No. But again, I just want to point out, we had 50 years of experience in PM Group, right? So we had a lot of processes and workflows already established, so we were ripe for this, right? So just one thing to bear in mind when you are going down this route, have your workflows in place, you know, be confident in what it is. If not, then do reach out to the likes of us, where we can absolutely look at your systems and look at your workflows and say, here's some potential weaknesses or gaps, or where we see some flaws that need to be strengthened before you allow this out into the field. Any other questions? This gentleman.
Do you have a demo of this outside the expo?
That's right, we do indeed. I actually should have mentioned that.
Yeah, you should have.
Right, yeah, so we've got a demo of this at the expo. I think it's by where all the crazy food queues were yesterday. You'll see us there. Swing by, come for the demo. Everybody here as well, if you want to come for a happy hour, we've got a happy hour going at the Marriott just across the road tomorrow between 5 and 7. Come down to the expo area where our stand is and get a wristband, and then there's free drinks. So.
It's Con370 is the stall if anyone needs to put it into their AU app.
That's the one.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yep.
I've been used to build hands wearing these and installing them.
I really, really do. And for me, AR has been a passion for about 3 years, right? So probably is a little bit too much of a baby for me. But where do I see it in the next 5 years? I see if the price point gets to that point, where we can get it onto every helmet, you know, every black hat at least. I think that's where it's going to go. I think also for the factory witness testing, it's a real game changer for us from the modularization, the panels, you know, particularly some OSCI equipment that you're kind of saddled with when it gets to site and they're high value, right? It's a real game changer for us to be there to witness those and say, you know what, this matches. It's also been eye-opening for their client to realize that the people that they are really investing billions with are getting it so wrong before it leaves and pushing the problem out onto their site teams who have already, especially since the pandemic, accelerated timelines. You know, they're under significant pressure. Anybody else? Yep.
For the 3.5mm accuracy, what's the range of that? Is it like actually 15 feet that decreases? Or?
No, it's as far as the eye can see. So even if you're looking at elements, for example, 50, 100 meters away, it'll still be within that level of tolerance. So, you know, we had fiber ducts going in, they were like 50 meters kind of in length, and so the guys would kind of set up at the base of it, and they can then just inspect basically the straightness across.
Yeah, so we were able internal, external, same level of accuracy, same consistent level of reporting.
So I work in oil and gas, I know that you're not in that field
Yet.
But a big part of the pre-construction phase is laying out workspace. Can you apply like a 2D overlay to the ground?
It doesn't need to be 2D, it's 3D.
Yeah.
So everything you're seeing, if you've got, you're saying a 2D drawing?
Let's say we have a trench, it's workspace to put the dirt,
Yeah.
lay down.
Yeah.
Being able to do that in the AR environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see basically within the AR environment those sort of aspects. So oftentimes what we do in our factory witness testing, the factory acceptance testing, is that we actually bring the site model to the factory, right? So you're not kind of just simply inspecting that particular module, right? You're actually inspecting all the other critical interfaces that actually go into the model itself. So we really bring in if you like, the site to the factory, which is really huge.
Here's a challenge.
Yeah.
What if the site's 300 miles long?
Yeah, I mean,
just we're repositioning a little bit, right?
Is it possible to download the model? Well, the headset itself doesn't have the GPS. It has to talk to the
coordinators. Yes.
Okay,
so
a moving setup, because a lot of times
it doesn't need to be moving though.
But you're not building 300 miles at a time, right? Well, you're not going to go and say, I'm going to install 300 miles today, right? So you're taking miles at a time. Yeah, so you're repositioning throughout those miles, right? But I think on the roadmap there is a view, not that I'm going to say anything I shouldn't say, you know, beaconless. Did I say that? So that might be coming out in the roadmap for 23, 24.
Indeed.
By the time they get into oil and gas.
I envision a corridor of skaters and walk before.
Which you can do, and I just want to point that out because again, some of our data center rooms are absolutely colossal, right? Like, I'm pretty fit, but I'd still need one of those electric scooters to get around if they're that big, right? So for that, what we do is we just bombard it with beacons, and we will allow those beacons there. We can put them permanently if we want in one space, if we know we're going to consistently be around there, what we call permanent, but they're semi-permanent. Or we can just take them up and down as we go along through the day.
Yeah, we call them hotspot zones on site, for example. We know that, like, for example, particular areas on site are super busy, rather than kind of having to keep set up in those areas, i.e., you know, with tracking beacons, you know, we know that there's 5 different guys that need to kind of operate in that area, inspect works in that area, leave them up, basically.
Yeah.
Can the scanners upload terrain data back?
So those beacons, they're essentially done. There's no intelligence in them except the IR suite. All the intelligence in the headset itself. So, yeah.
He's looking for a land survey at the same time. I mean,
One day,
ambitious. Yeah.
I can solve a lot of problems.
Would you use this for a mock-up?
For a mock-up in a...
Like, let's say you got a hospital room, let's just get out commercial stuff, it's going to look like on the inside. Like how
Yes.
I'm seeing like red, orange, green, like how photorealistic can it be?
So we have done that, but specifically for hospitals, but kind of, if I'm being honest with you, in terms of value, like, not really there. I mean, you don't need millimeter precision for a mock-up, right? You kind of just, it's more of a visualization exercise. So in those instances, I would recommend anything else. iPad's great even for that. Really kind of the headset's built for construction because of the engineering tolerances that need to be met.
Okay. Yep.
Do you support Civil 3D files?
Yes.
Yep.
Have you used it for placement of, let's say, drywalls? Is it precise enough for that?
Yeah, you can see if there's a bender, if somebody is out of tolerance. So if you're looking at this and you've got a sheet here, and if there's a belly on your drywall, or if something is out of tolerance on your drywall, absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, if I was the carpenter building a drywall,
yeah. So.
Oh, I can show you your exact points where your supports should be for your wall to like, you know, that cross, and you place it right first time right there.
So, to be honest, like, not something that we kind of advertise, but the guys on site, oftentimes, they're actually setting out the works as well. Right?
The risk profile, we don't announce that.
Yeah, so PM Group's request and pushing and insistence is basically led us to that point where the guys on site were actually kind of looking at where installations need to take place. For example, one of the best examples was the embedded M&E, right? Before the pre-pour inspection, kind of spotted a bunch of issues, and then everybody was like, we'll just use the headset then to just set out. So started moving the assets across on site, picking it up, moving it across, all through the headset because they can line it up, right? I mean, the moment that they moved it, the moment you line it up, you kind of verified your works, you've captured it in the field itself, everything's signed off, job done, next one, next one, next one.
So anyway, installing to it, why would you want to look at a plan where you can install exactly what it's supposed to do?
That's it. Right.
Way you go.
And especially where we've got a skills shortage right now, right?
Exactly.
Because we've got an aging, retiring side of our construction force. We've got a lot of youths who are coming up through it but don't have the same experience, you know. But these are also gaming experts because, you know, that generation, right? So they really adapt well to this technology and use it very quickly. And in fact, it's giving us higher quality outputs by adopting this. But again, it's, you know, training them to do it one way, and that's the right way.
So if you put like a reward system, tiers.
I do. But that's what my league table is for. That's what my league table is for.
Yeah, actually, on all of PM Group sites, they actually have quality of the month, right? And they actually allocate it directly. So, and it's all based off the headset's data as well. So we see that, for example, the mechanical trade partners actually installed, you know, 70% right this month versus kind of the next best at 60%. They get rewarded for the end of the month.
And contractors are using it as well. Like if you've got an apprentice who's coming in and adopting this, or if you've got like someone who's pretty junior or a graduate, you can use this as you know, most adopted use, because you can log their hours. They have to sign in, right? So you can see who's using this technology, who's gaining, who's making the most advances in that area, and the right first time per person.
And this might be in your demo at the board. It seems to me that there's two, well, from what I'm hearing, there's a QA/QC inspection that seems to be the primary role.
Yeah.
Do you find that your clients use it during the actual layout process? And if so, does the technology allow you to, like, you know how like you use TopCon or some laser where it beeps, you can beep and then it's consistent? With the AR, is it possible, or have you seen, is it possible for, like, you know, in the videos you see the colors of the columns or the beams, whatever. If something is being installed in real life, does the AR change the color once you're spot on?
Traffic light system.
Yeah, so essentially what you're able to do is mark those specific elements that have been completed as per installation. So you kind of, you'll see in the demonstration that you're actually able to select multiple elements at the same time, so you can kind of go correct, correct, correct. That then feeds back, and so when you're looking at it overall as holistically, you have a traffic light system there. So you can see green installed within tolerance, on time, amber installed, not within tolerance, on time, red, not installed, late, you know, that sort of thing. So
I think the question that Walid is asking, if you're looking at a piece of duct and you've got your AR, does it look at it and say and go green, say that's bang on, or does it say sorry?
Automatically, yeah, automatically, no, not yet.
Okay.
Okay.
That's on the material that it's affecting, right? For the Navisworks, we use Vista. I just want to say that for trade coordination.
With Vista, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very rare to hear you. Sorry.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have different. I mean, there's different a lot of coordination software out there. I'm wondering if that integrate with your product, because like I mean that's a great tool for trade coordination, but for field coordination, that your tool obviously seems to be very good. And how easy is it for us to export, let's say, to I guess your cloud, and can I append a model, let's say if one model is changed instead of all the models?
Yes. Yeah. So in terms of our integrations are all with the Autodesk ecosystem as of right now, so not with Revit, unfortunately. Now, in terms of those model revisions and appending those updated models, yes, that happens automatically. So when you're exporting the model from Revit, Navisworks, simply one-click export the model format, the model name, then we'll just simply determine if it's a revision thereafter automatically on the cloud platform. And it's literally a one-click export. And what we do know and what we can say is that we have the fastest model export in the world as well. So we have optimized for everything.
And to be fair, we've thrown down a lot of challenges at XYZ, right? So if you have something that you need to integrate, if you talk about it, put your hand up and say, we're very interested, but this is a roadblocker, they'll develop that API. You had a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna, can you upload or import files directly in the cloud, or do you have to go through an export process? Like, at this point, my company also uses Vista, but I know we could export IFC files, so if we're able to just upload those.
Yeah, so the way you would export IFC files or go through that process is an export process itself, right? So what we do is import them into Revit and then export them from Revit. Revit's simply the medium through which we export, right? Or Navisworks is. Navisworks is simply the medium through which we export.
Any other questions? Yeah.
How do you get your consultants to model the 500 LOD when there might be used to only 300?
So there's no requirement for AR to model an LOD 500, right? So the requirement is then based on what the client wants. So if a client is going down digital twin, digital asset point of view, they might push you towards LOD 500, or if they know they're going to use it for integrated FM thereafter, they might ask for that. My point earlier was that LOD 500, people might say, oh, is it too much detail for AR? Not for this technology. We can get you down to the washers. You know, where are you putting the washers? Are they in the right place? Are the bulbs in the right place? But how do we get our contractors? You have to think with your client, what is the use case of this model? You know, if you're going to go down the route of FM, what level of information, you know, what level of detail do you want to get to? And clearly state at the very beginning in your BEP what those levels are, what your tolerances are, what your clearly state what you plan on using this model for thereafter. Tell them that they're going to have model audits consistently throughout the project, and tell them that AR will be used for setting out. I think all of that, if you're very honest with your subcontractors and you go through your supply chain and you go through your pre-quals with that very precise document, you're only adding up to success. As long as they can meet what they say they can do. Anything else? Yeah, at the back.
Navisworks, you can obviously customize, let's say, colors or transparencies. Can you customize inside your platform, or is it really done in the offering software that exports to
No, it's customized on our platform. So, you know, if for whatever reason you want to. So, when you initially load up multiple models, they kind of generically come up as different colors, right? Depending on the sequence in which you upload it. You can then adjust the colors in the field as well, if you so wish and choose to do so. We simply just have multiple colors for different models, so then it's distinctive what's what model, basically.
Yeah, front.
Within the model, can you have different colors? For instance, we do exterior systems, so we have different color panels. And architecturally, do you see those colors? Does it say this is one model for everything?
So as of right now, it will say one model, this is that color. However, the simple way around it is our field engineer will simply export multiple models and then set those colors accordingly. So
break up your model.
You had a question?
Yeah. So for working on last phase, one model has 10 different types of types. Are you able to identify what the system are, the properties from the model?
Yeah, so we have exported all the metadata. We haven't gone through the development task yet. I've been able to display it in a kind of format that's digestible in AR for our users yet, but that is something that's in our immediate roadmap to be able to do, so display all of the metadata for each of the elements in the field.
Any other questions?
Are you in Canada?
They can be.
Maybe soon. Maybe very soon. I'll put it like that.
We never say never.
Yeah.
We're in
Cool.
Canada.
Love it. Thank you
Any
very
other
much.
questions?